Joe joins us now. Joe, your reaction to this statement, brief as it was, no questions from the media, and he closes his office. What of it?
Just as the report itself was unnecessary and adolescent in its legal analysis, his performance today showed exactly why he doesn't want to testify. Bob has stayed too long at the fair. That performance today was unfortunate, and I think does further damage to the Department of Justice. His gratuitous statement that if we had determined that the president had not committed a crime, we would have said so, is a disgraceful abuse of prosecutorial power, and I deeply regret that Bob has ended his public career in such an embarrassing way.
Why do you think he did the statement? What's the real reason he did it? He doesn't seem like a petty guy. I mean, he just doesn't. Maybe I don't know him at all. I don't think I've ever met him, but he's a little long in the tooth to kind of, give the elbow out the door, an elbow to Trump out the door. It seems odd to me. Is it just a matter of personal pride?
I would give him a 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness. This was, in fact, a petty, unnecessary statement. It was the most important word you can ever say about a prosecutor. It was vindictive. And because it was vindictive, it is stripped of all the accoutrements which generally attach to the work of a prosecutor and protect them from criticism. This was truly a shame. I feel very sorry for the president that he had to suffer this additional arrow after all the nonsense that he's been through. And I think Bob should be ashamed of himself. I've known Bob for a long time. He clearly doesn't like the president, which is fine. You can dislike the president, but you're wielding the prosecutorial power of the United States government. And those statements today were just out of line. Every time I think of James Comey July 5th news conference 2016, it comes back to me and I watch people like Bob Mueller do this. Where in the world have we come in the Department of Justice with stuff like this? And I want to thank Rod Rosenstein, that idiot who appointed Mueller with no good reason, absolutely no legal reason to appoint a special counsel. All you saw today was the direct result of Rod Rosenstein's cowardice.
No, it's, again, Jeff Sessions never should have been Attorney General, and then he recuses, and then this. I mean, there were so many steps along the way that were just, so unfortunate. Jerry Nadler's spoken out, and Joe, I'm sure you're fascinated by this statement. He said, given that Special Counsel Mueller was unable to pursue criminal charges against the president, it falls to Congress to respond to those crimes, lies, and other wrongdoing of the president, and we will do so. No one, not even the president of the United States, is above the law. Well, that sounds ominous.
Oh, I don't doubt that they're going to pull the trigger and go to impeachment.
What else are they going to do, run against this economy? I mean, that's all they have. I mean, that's going to be their campaign, right?
I don't have any doubt that they're going to do impeachment. And thank you, Rod Rosenstein. That's why we're here. One man is responsible for this, Rod Rosenstein.
When he says, we couldn't charge him with a crime, what Saul just said, Joe, and I'm wondering your opinion on this, he said, well, look, what Mueller could have said is if he really thought a crime had been committed, what he could have said is he could have said, look, we recognize that this is DOJ's policy not to be able to indict a sitting president. However, we leave any further determinations on this to the Justice Department, because if the Justice Department decides to change its rule, it can. But he didn't say that in the report. Saul found that significant.
Well, I think, once again, he didn't have the horses, or he would have said, we recommend that the department figure out a way to charge him. He could have written all sorts of things about the nature of the evidence, but he didn't do that. What he did was he published a bunch of hash, a bunch of newspaper articles, a bunch of conclusions, and then just smeared the president of the United States in 430-some pages. I've really had enough of this process. I've had enough of the entire process of these people trying to destroy a president. This isn't about the law anymore. This is about raw political advantage and the destruction of a presidency. And as I said on your show some time ago, for which I took a lot of heat when we did a podcast, we're in a civil war in this country. And let me tell you something, we are, and you are watching it. And Bob Mueller is right in the middle of it. And what he did today was a disgrace to the rule of law, no matter what anybody says. And I'm sure that the Washington Post and the New York Times are just going to love this. This will be part of their continuing narrative. You have editors at both of those papers who are clearly people who don't understand the role of a free press in a great society like this. And the damage that they are doing to this country and that Bob Mueller did today should not go unanswered. I think it's disgraceful. I am apoplectic about this.
I think that we all as Americans have to pause in this media maelstrom. And Joe, you've made this point before, but it's worth repeating, of how serious it is when in a political season the gears of our legal and our surveillance establishment are turned by those with a political motivation, politically motivated to either prevent the election win of an individual, the true meddling in the election, which is what they were trying to do with their insurance policy and surveillance of Trump campaign officials, Carter Page, et cetera. And then afterward, with the Comey leak of the memo to the New York Times to get the thing published, to roll the investigation, to spur the special counsel. I mean, this was all the old establishment rearing up and trying to take out Trump during the campaign and after the campaign. And if they can do it, to a populist conservative like Trump, why couldn't they do it to a liberal if they decided there was a liberal person who was a threat to? So, I mean, how do liberals think they're safe here? That's what I don't understand.
Well, they're not even thinking about that because they hate Trump so much. All they want to do is, quote, get him. And by doing that, by abandoning the precepts and the principles that have made us all happy to be Americans and be devoted to the rule of law and fairness and due process, what they did during the election, during the transition, and after the election, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, all the people at the senior levels of the Justice Department, Sally Yates, everybody. This was an amazing assault on an incoming president of the United States. And I will tell you, if they go to impeachment, you are going to see a roiling of this country like you have never seen before. Because what they are doing is they never liked this result. They wanted her to be president. She didn't win because she was a lousy candidate, and now they want to strip him of his presidency. If they go down this route to impeachment, there is going to be a reaction in this country that the Democrats are going to regret. This is going to get very ugly. It's going to become just beyond anything that I can think of right now, except that the anger is going to increase and increase and increase. There is only so long that a person and a system can take this type of assault. This is an illegitimate assault on a presidency. And when you do that, the body politic, it's like when a germ or some type of organism comes into a body and the body rejects it. That is what's going to happen with this. The body politic is going to reject this. The numbers against impeachment are going to go up. They're not going to go down.
I agree.
Because what Mueller did today was show how dirty this process was and is. What a disgraceful performance.
No, but the problem, Joe, is that it's going to be reported by all the usual suspects as some big vindication of the argument for impeachment, correct? So will the public really take Mueller and say, oh, it's vindictive, or they say, oh, well, it was real. It was kind of, it was like Comey. It was like Comey's non-indictment indictment of Hillary, right? And it was kind of comparable to Comey's July 2016 press statement.
carbon copy, and that's exactly why he did it. This was his farewell, and it was exactly the same thing. A disgraceful abuse of prosecutorial discretion and power, violating Justice Department guidelines by making those types of statements. But you are right. It may very well be that because of the way it will be played by the press, which is all anti-Trump, that it may be shown, people say, oh, well, gosh, he says if we had thought he didn't commit a crime, they would have said so. My goodness, what does that mean? And that was its purpose. Its purpose was to muddy the waters and to make his testimony on the Hill unnecessary. What he did today, Mueller, was give them license to impeach. That's exactly what his intention was. It's disgraceful.
Joe, this is one exchange from yesterday where, again, the media makes its own heroes. They create and brand their own new heroes. They had AOC for a while. Then it was Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And now it's Justin Amash, congressman from Michigan. Let's listen.
I think it's really important that we do our job. I'm confident that if you read Volume 2, you will be appalled at much of the conduct.
I want to salute your courage.
So, Joe, they're in the process of trying to build up Justin Amash. Why do you think the media are building him up going into 2020?
Well, they need a Republican to be in favor of impeachment, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to make a bipartisan call for impeachment. They need that in order to have a sustained reaction to it. That's what it's about.
Joe diGenova, I hope we have you on TV. Thank you so much.